All right, hello and good morning. Happy Friday to everybody. Friday, November the 20th. And today I want to give you some tips. There are some key language words that you can use to unlock your opportunities, to put yourself in a position to gain an application almost 100% of the time. And I'm going to give you those today in conjunction with some of the core transitions. Now, this is also going to be a taste of what you can expect on December 11th. See, on December 11th, we are all going to get together for a live training event. There's one happening in Indianapolis, Indiana, with my good friend and business partner, Michael Hall, at his location. And then myself and Matt Dixon, we're going to be kicking off a training event in Hanover, PA, which is out there by the Harrisburg Airport. Carlos Bastardo has an event happening himself over there also in someplace in Indianapolis, Indiana. And so there are multiple locations for you to be able to plug into, but let's get right into it right now. Okay, so what are some of the key words, some of that language that you can use in order to unlock an application for yourself almost 100% of the time? And I say almost because we're dealing with the human population. And not everyone's going to buy, no matter how good you are, no matter what you say, how you say it, the connection you make. There are always going to be just some people who just are not going to buy. There's just going to be some people who just say, I just need to wait it out. But I'm going to give you everything that you're going to need in order to make that transition for yourself really smooth. So number one, getting started. When we go out to a home and we go to meet with a client, one of the first things that we want to do is, number one, identify ourselves as somebody of posture, somebody who looks the part, because they are going to be eyeing you up within the first 30 seconds. And so personally, I've always liked for men, a collared shirt and a pair of slacks. For women, I've always liked something that was business casual. No suits, not for either one. No suits. I've always liked having on a nice watch, but not a lot of jewelry. And I'm giving you guys these are just little things that are going to just make your ability to make the connection with the client extremely smooth. Okay? Make sure you're well groomed. Just make sure you're somebody who's presentable. Make sure your shoulders are back, your head's up. Even if it's your first time walking into a home, you want to present yourself as if this is the 100th time you've walked through the home, because you're going to vibrate that energy. That energy is going to be able to feed off of how you're standing, how you shake hands, the eye contact that you make with an individual, and make sure you smile. Listen, even if someone is sitting there like this the whole time, make sure that you're making that connection with that individual and you're smiling at them. Let them know, listen, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter how you are going to project yourself, you the client. I am going to project myself in a position of posture, in a position of authority, as somebody who knows exactly what it is that I'm talking about. And I'm going to make you want to do business with me, because deep down inside, you're going to feel comfortable knowing that I'm your guy, I'm your gal to go ahead and do this policy with here today. Right? So just a couple things. So you walk in and you want to have small talk. Small talk to me is 5 to 7 minutes. In my experience, anything more than 10, 15 minutes, now you've made yourself a friend. And folks, I can tell you after a decade in this business that a lot of times our friends will be the ones to provide us with the biggest disappointments, right? So a lot of times strangers are going to actually be your best clients, more so over your friends and family. So be careful about making a friend. You want to make small talk. You want to have a connection. Pay a compliment. If there's something that you see on a wall, if there's a painting you see on the wall, even if you're not into art, just maybe ask a question. Hey, really like that painting. Where did you get it? And that could actually hit a soft spot with somebody who owns the home. You walk in, somebody just bought a brand new home. It was just remodeled. Man, look at your kitchen. Beautiful backdrop. Wow, look at the floors. Just make that connection with someone and develop the small talk. Now, if you see something in someone's home, or you see something that you're in connection, there's a vibration between you and the client, bring it up, right? Bring it up and make that connection with that client so that you have some commonality. Okay, but don't be fake. okay? I don't believe in fake it till you make it. I believe in being authentic, being honest, and making a connection. I don't believe in fake it till you make it. Have posture, keep your shoulders back, be confident, smile, but don't fake it. Okay, so after you get into the small talk, then you want to set the tone. Now, here's one of the parts where you're going to have an opportunity to unlock. This is your first opportunity to unlock an opportunity for an application. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to let them know exactly what's going to happen here today. So, Mr. and Mrs. Client, what we're going to do here today is I'm going to run through a series of qualifying questions. Is that okay? Yes, great. And as I go through those questions, that's going to give me the ability to find out whether or not this plan will actually make sense to you or it won't. Here's what I can guarantee you. I can guarantee you, number one, I'm not going to waste any of your time. I'm going to let you know if this is something that you're going to be eligible for. And if it is, we can move on to the next step. And if it's not, I will be upfront and let you know that this is not something, either A, that you're eligible for, or B, that you just may not need. Is that at least a fair way to begin the conversation? Yes, it is. Great. And then at that point, what I'm going to do is I'm then going to go ahead and I'm going to let them know exactly what's going to happen thereafter. See, I want to get the elephant out of the room at the very beginning of the conversation. Here's a couple things that you don't want to see happen towards the end. Number one, you don't want to get blindsided by a medical condition or a prescription. Number two, you don't want to get blindsided by price or a budget. So let them know up front. I'm going to ask a series of questions in a sequence, and I'm going to let you know exactly what's going to happen. We're going to talk about price. I'm going to show you options. I'm also going to ask you about your medical history. So we're going to get a little bit involved in a conversation about you, okay? One of the things that's not going to happen here today, Mr. and Mrs. Client, is you're not going to buy anything from me, meaning you're not going to write me a check. You're not going to give me any type of form of payment. That's not what today is about. What today is about is finding out, are you eligible or not? And if so, what can I put in place for you? What's the best thing that I can do for you here today? Great. So then what I'm going to do, I'm going to head over to my next transition where I'm going to find out a little bit about Mr. and Mrs. Client. So tell me a little bit about yourselves. Maybe where did you meet? How did you meet? Maybe, what did that look like for you? How many kids do you have? How many grandchildren do you have? So I want to get involved in some of the little personality traits of how they got together. And I want to make it personal. Look, write this one down. This is an emotional sale backed by logic. Okay? And so when I make that connection with you, I want to make sure that I'm now starting to strum up some of those emotions, right? Taking you back to the time that you guys met, taking you back to the time that you bought this beautiful house, taking you back to the time that you raised that beautiful family, okay? These are the keys to unlock. At that point, then I'm going to ask a couple more questions. I'm going to get a little bit more invasive with my client. I'm going to find out things like, what do you do for work? I'm going to find out, what do you have in place? When I say, what do you have in place? Do you have a policy at work? Do you have any private insurance? Now, when I say things like private insurance, I always say things like, do you have any private insurance? Like a Farmers or a State Farm or New York Life policy? Do you have anything like that? I do. Great. And then I'm going to pause. And at that point, I'm going to transition to a policy review. Would you mind doing me a favor? Write that one down, guys. You want to use this language. Would you mind doing me a favor? Could you go find that policy for me? Why? Why do you need to see my policy? Because if you have something that I'm already here for, then let me be the first to not waste your time and let you know that you're already well taken care of. Oh, okay. With them. What's in it for me? That's what the client wants to know. What's in it for me? What are you going to do for me? Well, I just asked you, could you do me a favor? Would you mind helping me out? Could you go grab the policy? Yes, I can. Now, here's what I'll share with you also. You're going to find that most people have no idea what kind of coverage they have. They have no idea what the face amount is. Sometimes they don't even know what they're paying. And they have no idea when they got it, when it expires, if it's whole life, if it's right. You'll have people to say, I've got the term whole. I got the whole term policy. Like they just don't know. So it's your job as a professional to let them know. Great. So if they don't have anything in place, okay, fine. If they have something at work, Just inform them, let them know that typically if they leave their job or if they get hurt at work or something like that, that's really what those policies are meant for. It's really not meant as like private insurance. One really doesn't have anything to do with the other. Okay. Now my next transition is I want to find out a little bit more about these clients. I want to find out, okay, so you've got this big, beautiful house. You just did a 20-year refi. You just bought a 30-year purchase, $225,000, whatever the number is. So then I'm going to start to ask another series of questions. What do you have in place to offset the cost if something was to happen to you? Now, this is where the sale is made, okay? Just understand, like this one transition here, this is where the sale is made. So at this point right here, this is actually where you're going to get a little bit more invasive and you're going to ask them questions like, what do you have in regards to a 401k, in a savings account? How long could you stay in the house? 6 months, 9 months? What do you have stashed away in reserves to make sure that if something happens to you, Mr. Client, how long will you be able to stay in the house? Why? Because what's going to happen is right, and you ask them this question. Don't tell them this, but you ask them this question. You get them to tell you how long they can stay in the house. Before what? Well, before the nasty letters start coming from the bank. Before the harassing telephone calls start coming from the bank. Before the sheriff's department comes and slaps an orange sticker on the front door and all the neighbors see the cop car out front. How long does that process take? Okay, now they tell you how long that process takes. They tell you how long they can stay in the house. Great. Okay, now at that point, then what? Then where would you go? If you got foreclosed on, how long would you be able to stay in the house? Well, I don't know, 6 months, 9 months. Okay, then where would you go? And then let them tell you where they would go. If they say, I don't know is not an answer. See, this is where you have to stand firm. This is where you have to be a professional and let them know that unfortunately, in order for you to help them and do your job effectively, I don't know is not going to be the answer. Like I need a specific place where you're going to go, where your kid's going to go to school, where they're going to have to go to school over here, and over where my sister lives temporarily. Okay, and how does that make them feel? So that's where the sale is made. Okay, bam. Now you transition over to a couple medical questions. Find out anything major for you in your medical history. Any heart attack, stroke, cancer, any major hospitalizations in the last 12 months. Are you taking any kind of medications? Are you taking any kind of medications that you can be considered minor? Any blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes? Just get involved and just try to get the elephant out of the room. You don't want to get sideswiped by a medical condition as you're going through the app in about 15 more minutes from now. So you just want to kind of go through those medical questions up front, find out about them, dig deep. Like this part right here, this is the key to unlocking. The reason why some agents get every piece of business issued and some other ones have pending requirements, it's because they feel the flow of the conversation going really well and they feel good about how everything is coming along, and they have this feeling, right? You have this inkling. You know that you're about to get an application, right? So all of a sudden, it's like the slot machine, at the casino. In your mind, the back of your mind, you're pulling the slot machine down, you're pulling the lever down, you're starting to see the dollar signs of the commissions in the back of your mind, and you're jumping way too ahead. So be present for your client. Be present for your client. Don't think about the commission. Don't think about the application. Just think about service. How can I serve this client right now based on everything they've told me up until this point? Okay? Then what you want to do is you want to move over to, after you've gotten the medical history, now you know, are they going to be a straight living benefits plan? And everything we use here is life leads. There is no mortgage protection. There is no final expense. There is no such thing anymore. Okay? A lead is just a human. Okay? The mortgage protection is no more in 2020, going into 2021. Final expense, there is no more final expense. This is life insurance. Period. End of story. Some get living benefits in a term or a permanent policy. Some get a whole life policy. Some of those whole life policies come with 1 or 2 living benefits if you're with the Aetna company and CVS and things of that nature. But forget about the whole, well, this was a mortgage protection lead, or this was a final expense lead, or what. It's non-existent. This is a human being who needs coverage, period, end of story. So how can I serve you today? So here's what I can do. I can either do 100% of your mortgage, 50% of your mortgage, and then take your mortgage payment by 36 or 48 months. And those are going to be some of your options. Maybe that's not an option because you gave me a couple answers on the medical questions that doesn't allow you to qualify today for that program. Now, I'll let my client know. Key to operating at a high level and developing a good vibration between your client, you and I are going to do an annual review, meaning I'm going to come back and see you in a year from now, Mr. or Mrs. Client. I'm going to check in with you. And as long as that medical condition is now 5 years, this is going on now 5 years ago, right? Because you had it 4 years ago, then we can reapply for something different. But at least today we'll be able to at least see what options are available to you, get something in place. So in the event of, you don't have to run back through that horrible scenario that you just explained to me over the last 10 minutes. So then I'm going to go through those 3 options. I'm either going to show the one that I just explained, or I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take their mortgage payment and I'm going to times it by a certain period of time, a certain number of months. And when I do this process, I'm always making eye contact. I'm always talking to whoever is going to be the one responsible in the event of. Does that make sense? So if it's a husband and wife, I'm looking at the wife, right? And I'm looking at the wife and I'm saying, is this enough time? Is 24 months, 2 years enough time for you to gather up your belongings, to put the house up for sale, right? To gather up your thoughts, to put yourself back on your feet. Is that enough time? Is 12 months? So I'm going to walk them through that process. Then at that point, I'm going to use specific language. And I've been using specific language throughout this whole tutorial. And I'm going to say something like, now, here's what I'm going to do for you today, Mr. or Mrs. Client. See, throughout the entire process, I've let my clients know that we're doing something today. Like something's going to happen. That's why I'm here. I'm either going to let you know that you're going to be eligible for something, or I'm not going to be able to help you with something. And if I can't help you with something, then that's okay. But at least at this point in time, I am going to be able to do something. And if I can, we're going to do it today, right? So here's what I'm going to do for you today. What I'm going to do for you today is I'm going to walk you through the steps on how we can go ahead and see if you'll be eligible for coverage. We're going to get this application into the hands of the underwriting department, and they're going to let us both know. See, one of the things that you want to do is you want to bring that client on your other side of the table. You want to get the client on your side. You want to let them know that you're doing this together. This is going to be together as a team. We're going to do this together. I'm on your side. I'm here for you. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to be of assistance to you. I'm here to make sure that we can put something in place so those scenarios that you just told me about your kids having to transfer schools, about your house getting foreclosed on, about you maybe having to put together a GoFundMe for you and your spouse, and that would be embarrassing to you on social media. I want to make sure that my job is done right and we don't ever have to walk down that road. And so that's what I'm going to do for you here today. And so I'm going to so go ahead and do me a favor. Notice the language. Go ahead and do me a favor. Go ahead and grab me your medications that you're taking. Go ahead and grab your driver's license, and I'm going to start putting together the application. And then I literally have my laptop out, open, and I am already starting to do the application. That's it. Now, once I get through the application part, then I'm going to let them know what the last step is. The last step is I'm going to reach out to you in the next 48 hours. What is the best time for me to reach out to you in 48 hours? Today's Friday. Okay, I'm calling you on Sunday. Is it okay to call you on Sunday? Yes, it is. Great. What time is best? 4 in the afternoon. Great. Is it better for me to call you? Or is it better for me to text you? How do you respond? Because I want to make sure you and I continue to have a dialogue. Folks, when you take a social, a birth date, prescription info, medical info, family history, medical history, banking information, routing account number, banking. When you gather up all this information in about an hour to an hour and 10 minutes time, although that client has trusted you with that information, make no mistake about it, they're wondering when you walk out that door, crossing their fingers that you're going to do the right thing, that you're a man or woman of honor, and that you're doing the right things. So that's why it's so important to use this language and to make the connection with you and the client. Because this is how your persistency rate is going to stay high. This is how you're going to get clients who don't call you back 2 days later and say, hey, cancel the whole thing, I changed my mind. This is how you're going to be able to develop a bond with your client. This is how you're going to be able to develop ancillary sales. See, a lead is a seed to get you in the door to be able to take care of the first problem. The first problem is what they brought you there for, which is the conversation that we just had here this morning. The second problem is maybe their retirement plan is at risk. Maybe it's at risk because it's still sitting idle in a 401k or a 403b. Maybe they're a little bit of a younger generation and they're not interested in having tax-deferred money go into a plan that's exposed to the market right now. And they understand that it can grow, but it can also have a downturn. So maybe a tax-free retirement plan is a good option for them. See, that's your ancillary sale. That's how you compound your income. That's how you turn a customer into a client. By making these connections, by using this language, by making sure you follow the core transitions, and then making sure that when you say you're going to call somebody back in 48 hours, you make that call at 4 o'clock on a Sunday. Why? Because it still continues to show that you are a man and a woman of your word. Because everything you've done from the second you walked into that house and you met them, everything that you've done, you've followed through on. And I'll tell you right now, in today's generation, in today's world, most people don't follow through. Most people don't follow up. Most people say something and then they do an opposite. But you're going to be different. You're going to do everything you say you're going to do and then some. You're going to be on time. You're going to be punctual. You're going to be a professional. You're going to use the right language. You're going to have fun with what you're doing. You're going to take care of people. You're going to serve people. You're going to be authentic. You're going to be present. And then you're going to be able to grow yourself, grow your income, and you're going to be able to start to see yourself have a high persistency rate. More policies are staying on the books. You're going to get more referrals. And now you are a full-time professional in the financial services world. And it all started with that first conversation when you first walked in the door to make the connection with the client. So I hope that was helpful to you here today. It's just about 10 a.m. We're about to jump on our team call. It's all about association. The winners in this company are jumping on today's call. You have the Trustworthy Financial and the Sozo Capital Partners team jumping on today's call together. We're gonna uncover the winners of last week, all the people who went out there and did the things that I just talked about. We're gonna have the high-level individuals who are doing this, who are doing $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a week in premium on today's call, just absolutely crushing it. So have yourself a great weekend. Take advantage of your Saturday and Sunday. Do the dial sessions and have fun. Take care.